Hey, gals and guys, this is Christopher Mosier from MyMediaHelper.com, and let's watch this. I have Fridays off of work, and I worked on some videos for a couple hours. I had burnout making and editing videos. I also have this inner guilt that when watching something on television, I should be doing something more productive with my time. With that, I decided to kill two birds with one stone, as they say. I don't know who they are, but they said it. I would relax and watch some films, and then the next day make a video on them. My entertainment gene and my guilty gene would both be harmonized and satisfied. My confession to you is that I rarely pay for streaming services. Occasionally there's a show I like to binge into, so I'll pick up a Netflix or a Disney Plus for 1 month and then cancel it. There are so many free services and free content on the interwebs that my need to pay and see what's absolutely new is small. For instance, I've been watching through the 4 seasons of My Name is Earl on IMDb TV, a show that ran from 2005 to 2009. It's hilarious and awesome, and I only remembered seeing a handful of episodes. So the links to the movies I'll be covering on this video you can stream for free and are listed in the description below, and please feel free to comment your thoughts. As I looked for something outstanding to watch, what I started to find were all these low-budget superhero films that could be watched for free on Vudu. What do you think of when you think about really bad superhero films? Perhaps Steel comes to mind with Shaquille O'Neal. How about Catwoman with the yummy Halle Berry? You may even think of every Fantastic Four movie ever made. Elektra, Daredevil with Ben, all of these. What if I was to tell you all those films were masterpieces next to the other films that are out there claiming to be in the superhero genre, and there are lots. Enough of them that it will feed these types of reviews for a very, very long time. And that's what I'm going to do, because I have no life that I'm aware of. I'm going to watch these pieces of shit, so you don't have to. I guess that makes me a real superhero. I will unselfishly spend hours remaining in my miserable life watching these travesties of cinema and break them down in a quick review so you don't have to accidentally play one some evening. Let's climb into our tights and strap on that cape and see what god-awful crap is available online for free. Avengers of Justice, Farce Wars, 2018 film while trying to remain a good husband and father, Superbat. And the Avengers of Justice come out of retirement to stop dark jokester and lisp Luthor, freezing the world. Oh boy. The best thing I could say about this movie is that it's only about 85 minutes long, which includes the credits. I can forgive the terrible special effects that look like they were grabbed from Video Copilot. I could forgive the lack of locations based on budget. Most of the movie looks as if they filmed it at someone's house and then were allowed to film in a grocery store in the beginning and maybe rented a warehouse for the ending. What can't be forgiven is that someone thought they had a good idea and a good script when putting together this movie. Remember the awesome computer-generated The Incredibles and the pretty good sequel that spotlighted a family with superpowers? This movie is not that. Do you remember the Michael Chiklis series, No Ordinary Family, that only lasted 1 season about a family with superpowers? This isn't that. And No Ordinary Family picked up quality steam at the back end of the season and deserved a season 2. But that's my opinion and a whole other video. Back to this piece of shit. What we have instead is an uninteresting stereotypical nuclear family with all the tropes you would expect from a Lifetime movie of the week. I shit you not, the characters in this movie went by names of Gene Wonder, Bruce Kent, aka Superbat, Incredible Master Yoga, Dark Jokester, Beaverine, Thor Baka, Tony Starch, Lando Fury, Spider-Cat. You see where I'm going with this? This is supposed to be a parody, I imagine. The definition of a parody is an imitation of the style of a particular writer, artist, or genre with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect. I'm not sure if this is justified as a parody, as there wasn't any comedy. I feel pretty bad for the actors who had to regurgitate that shit that was called a script. I hope they were paid well and they did what they could with the disaster they were handed. No one can fault anyone for having a crappy job here and there. I've had many just to pay the bills. Richard Dane Scott is credited as writing this illustrious shit show. Going through his IMDb, he's written a lot of stuff I've never heard of with a high turnaround. Who knows if he's just hired to crank out a quick script or how much thought he put into his words. Scott is no master of parody, nor do I think he even understands what that is. Parody is just not regurgitating quotes from mainstream movies. Let me quote a line or a couple lines from an IMDb review, and it goes like, movies like Airplane got it, movies like Top Secret got it, movies like Hot Shots got it, but then at some point it becomes less about crafting a visual joke or a situation, and it just becomes spewing a catchphrase, going for the obvious joke and pop cultural references. It dilutes what parody actually means. It used to mean that there was some care put into it. What happens in a movie that is parodying what is essentially pop culture? You get this, an unfunny, utterly cringe-worthy movie. And that's just it. There are plenty of pop culture references in the script of the film. The lines don't mean anything. There's no setup and there's no payoff. The words are just stealing lines from popular movies and throwing them in the script somewhere. It's lazy. This whole movie is lazy. The film was directed by a Jarrett Tornell, sorry if I butchered that name, with all the whimsical stylings in care of an afternoon soap opera. Everything is standard straight shots. The camera does move once in a great while, not in a way that makes anything interesting. Was it time? Lack of vision? Lack of budget? That's not the viewer's problem. If you're making any kind of film revolving around any kind of budget, there are always ways to make it interesting. Looking at Tornell's IMDb credits, he's listed as also being the director of a TV series called Talentless. And that's really the punchline. Talking about life imitating art. Some stupid things that popped out at me were in the ending fight, the heroes were fighting a group of thugs dressed up as clowns. As the heroes took on a clown, the other clowns just stood in the background, probably checking their watches to see if it was lunchtime. This is so lazy. Give this clown something to do. You just don't stand around while your coworkers get the shit beat out of them. Get your ass in there and do something, you fucking lazy clown. Wrestler Shawn Michaels portrayed incredible master yoga. Without the voice. He was covered in green paint that must have been on sale last Halloween at the Spirit of Halloween store. In every shot, you could see where the green paint was coming off, revealing his real flesh tone. It was as if the stuff was just slapped on him, or I'm guessing he was sweating and the stuff wasn't lasting. He probably only had a limited supply based on budget, so they had to use it sparingly. I mean, look at the poster and see how green he is. That is false advertising, as you could clearly see his flesh tone through the crappy green makeup in the movie. A lot of effort and money goes into creating and producing any kind of movie effort. Because you have a little money and obstacles to overcome doesn't mean you get a pass on criticism, especially if your objective is to create some kind of buzz and fan base and get your vision out there. That even means if your vision is shit, like this movie, you don't get to have excuses when films like Juno and Little Miss Sunshine and Halloween and so on get made. I don't know the budget for this film, as I can't find it online. I don't much care. The problem with the film isn't the budget anyways, it's the god-awful script. Superhero movie 2008. Orphaned high school student Rick Riker is bitten by a radioactive dragonfly, develops superpowers, except for the ability to fly, and becomes a hero. I liked this movie. It's not a great movie. It's pretty stupid, but a lot of the jokes land. I may not have laughed ridiculously out loud. They did put a smile on my face, unlike the previously mentioned Avengers of Justice Farce Wars, which was pretty much a farce. While that movie was extremely painful to watch, superhero movie entertained me. Like I said, it's not a great film, but it's a very entertaining film. According to Wikipedia, superhero movie is a 2008 American superhero parody film written and directed by Craig Mazin, produced by Robert K. Wise and David Zucker, and starring Drake Bell, Sarah Paxton, Christopher McDonald, and Leslie Nielsen. It was originally titled Superhero as a nod to one of Zucker's previous films, Airplane, in which Nielsen also starred. A spoof of the superhero film genre, primarily Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, as well as other modern-day comic book film adaptations, the film follows in the footsteps of the Scary Movie series of comedies, with which the film's poster shares a resemblance. It was also inspired by and contains homages to the sum of Zucker Abrams and Zucker's earlier spoof films such as Airplane and The Naked Gun. Production began on September 17th of 2007 in Los Angeles. It was released on March 28, 2008 in the United States to generally negative reviews from critics, but more positive than earlier entries such as The Date Movie and Meet the Spartans, but received a moderate box office success, grossing over $71 million worldwide on a $35 million budget. This is not a great big magnum opus of cinema. There's no deep hidden meaning, no questions to be answered. It's just a stupid-ass movie that managed to make me laugh out loud half a dozen times. You probably would need to be more geared toward the superhero genre to appreciate it. I would assume if you're watching this video, you are anyway. Not all the jokes land. The Stephen Hawking scenes probably wouldn't fly in a movie today with the vastness of the internet and the dawning of cancel culture and people who have a way too much time on their hands to find new and inventive ways to bitch. I could do without Kevin Hart in anything. He's tolerable here. The rest of the cast is solid. Leslie Nielsen is the king of these kind of spoofs, from Airplane to the Naked Gun series and lesser films of the genre. Christopher McDonald always delivers a solid performance. It's always good to see Brent Spiner out of his Data makeup, and Marion Ross. I haven't seen her in anything since Happy Days. The movie is pretty terrible, yet it manages to be dumb enough to be amazingly watchable. Now on to something amazingly unwatchable. League of Superheroes 2015, presenting 26 of the most heroic and most outrageous superheroes and supervillains of all time in this episodic film. Spectacular adventures from Almighty Ape to Z-Men, the ultimate superhero movie. I sure as shit didn't write that. According to the film's IMDb plot summary, the ultimate underground superhero movie followed the adventures of over 20 of the most unique and outrageous heroes and villains from every corner of the galaxy. Action, adventure, humor, and horror collide in this incredible homage and middle finger to the superhero blockbusters. I sure as shit didn't write that either. I don't know what the creators of this mess are smoking. It certainly wasn't action-packed or adventurous or remotely humorous. It sure as fuck wasn't incredible. Unique is the only adjective I'll agree with. It's certainly one of a kind. Another film I couldn't find much information on beyond their own bullshit plot summary, and it's a German film and a badly dubbed one at that. The bookends and the filler is a terrible mother buying her daughter a comic book at the grocery store. A comic book that contains blood and guts and boobies and menstruation. All through the movie, this unfit mother drives back home from the store with the daughter reading this smutty, violent comic with profanity and containing characters like Menstru Girl and Orgasmic Octopus. Hurry! Someone call Child Services. I honestly don't know what the fuck this is. Perhaps an anthology revolving around the alphabet. A character introduced this piece of shit disguised as a movie that appears on screen literally from A to Z. There's no real story, there's no concrete narrative, it's just 3 or 4 minute bits of 26 characters introduced, all them bizarre as shit. To my amazement, people came together to create this. There was effort put behind this with some location and a whole lot of green screens. People invested in cheap costumes and even cheaper fake guns. Several women appeared in this topless and in some cases bottomless. Maybe acid is really popular in Germany. In fact, for me at least, the boobs were the only thing that kept me somewhat interested. Hey, I'm single. I haven't seen boobs in a few months. The gore in this film was super terrible. Most of it is done with terrible CGI. In fact, beyond the actors and actresses, the film was 90% terrible CGI. And I use the words actors and actresses extremely and unequivocally loosely. B and C movie mogul Lloyd Kaufman shows up in a cameo in this one. Right there should tell you the level of quality this film will have. Don't watch this exploitation of the superhero genre unless heavily medicated or sitting around drunk with some friends. There is zero negative substance here. It's a worse film than Avengers of Justice, Farce Wars, if that is even possible. I guess it is. Look at you, Farce Wars. You aren't the biggest pile of crap in these reviews. At this point, hopefully, there is nowhere to go but an inch closer to some sign of quality, so let's give it a try. Super Detention 2016. It's X-Men meets the Breakfast Club when 5 superhero teens are hauled into detention at their secret trading academy. This also happens to be the time when their hero Kalis is coming to speak at the school and recruit for his legendary internship program. Before the release bell rings, Kalis has stolen the powers of all the other students in the assembly, and it's up to our detention heroes to defeat him. This film comes from Brain Power Studios, which has given us such hits as Twinkle All the Way, Snowbound for Christmas, Christmas in Paris, and you probably sense a pattern forming here. Super Detention was directed by Justin G. Dyke, who, according to his IMDb, has directed a lot of Hallmark-like Christmas movies. I mean, a lot of them. Keith Cooper is the writer of this, who, according to his IMDb, has written a lot of Hallmark-like Christmas movies. This was not good knowledge going into this film, knowing they already make crappy movies. If anyone watched my Christmas review videos, they know I hate Hallmark movies. I know there's a big audience for those types of films and people enjoy them. That's good for those people. They are cookie cutters by the number films stacked together quickly and filmed in 2 weeks. People talk about the mechanics of the Marvel Cinematic Universe machine that cranks those out. Hallmark's machine is bigger and quicker, cranking out some damaged shit that people seem to love. I don't know if anyone watching this video watches Hallmark Christmas movies. I'll assume not. But if you did, this is a Hallmark Christmas movie with superpowers and minus Christmas. It sucks. The Immortal Wars 2018. According to the official website, set in the future, the world has been split into sectors. Humans have captured deviants and forced them to fight to the death. Madman Dominion Harvey, portrayed by Eric Roberts, hosts the Immortal Wars and televises the show to the entire planet. Tricalypse and fellow deviants will not only fight to survive, but to bring down Dominion Industries. This piece of shit features Eric Roberts and Tom Sizemore, respectively. Don't fault the actors for taking a shitty-ass job to provide for themselves and the family. The rest of the cast I've never heard of, and to be fair, they've never heard of me, so we're even. And I've been in crappy-ass movies, so again, we're even. This movie should have been called The Hunger Dames. The film is kind of a cross between The Hunger Games and Demolition Man, with Eric Roberts playing the part of Richard Dawson, just not so flamboyant and over the top. The first half of the movie features 2 main female characters dialoguing in their adjacent containment cells, awaiting their time when they would start The Hunger Dames. The Hunger Dames is basically a Mortal Kombat Street Fighter type event, pitting superpowered individuals against superpowered individuals as the spectators tune in on their televisions at home. Sound kind of familiar? Yes, the Immortal Wars is The Hunger Dames. Is this what you want? A character screams out after a grueling match and kill. Russell Crowe's voice pops in my head. Are you not entertained? The level of grunting in this movie is off the charts. The ADR on this fucking thing is off the charts. Half of this movie was dark to the point I didn't know what was going on. Just look at this trailer. It's all dark. To be fair, it didn't matter if the picture was dark, because I didn't care what was going on. And whoever was doing the special effects likes ashes. All over this movie, there's just little CGI ashes popping up everywhere to the point it was annoyingly noticeable each time. There is no real ending. The credits start rolling after a cliffhanger. I guess they assumed they would be making a sequel, and sure as shit, they made 3 follow-ups to this crap fest. The Immortal Wars Resurgence, The Immortal Wars Rebirth, and it is in pre-production of The Immortal Wars Decay's Paradox. There was even a 7-episodic series in 2017, 2018 called Immortal Legends. You can find the rest of this mess on YouTube. I'll need a few weeks to recover from this film before I venture into the others. There are also spin-off movies of some of the characters and some comic books that have been published taking place in this immortal universe. It's certainly been an ambitious venture, to say the very least. It's not that the idea isn't sound, it's execution, and again, the script is offsetting. This is the ongoing theme of this whole video. All the elements were there beyond a solid script. They all needed to be polished, and the puke-induced cheese ripped from the pages. And go take a look at Eric Roberts' IMDb page. It looks like he's signed up to be in every shitty movie release for the next 3 years. But good for him for working hard and the ability to act his way through such shitty dialogue. That is a true acting commitment, and this movie is a big pile of shit. And just remember, gals and guys, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. Those just happen to be mine. Yours may be different. Thank you for joining me this time out. Please subscribe if you could. I appreciate and help the channel. Please thumbs up this video if you happen to like it, or share it with some other comic book enthusiasts. And hit that damn bell for updates. And I'm going to go watch more movies, and I will catch you next video.